Golden Bull, Chapter 21. The stricken expressions of the goldsmith and his wife did not change after hearing Jomar's brave promise of action. He didn't blame them. What could he do? Somehow he must find Zeph a safe place to live beyond Malik's reach, and Sita must be freed from the charge of housing and concealing a runaway slave. Impossible! Jomar needed to be alone. "May I have your permission to go out for a short while?" he asked Sita, who waved his consent without looking up. Jomar moved restlessly through the neighborhood. Everything around him was the color of mud, so he was only dimly aware of the dusty roads he walked upon or the small brick dwellings he passed. But he scanned the streets constantly for Malik, his heart racing at a glimpse of every tall man, every stout man, every bald man. How could he battle with Malik, a temple official? He had nowhere to turn. He knew no one more powerful. Jomar came to a sudden halt. He did know someone more powerful. The high priestess Batati. He would go to her and plead for help. He knew that Sita would never give him permission to do so. He would go without permission. Jomar hurried to the temple and flung open the rear entrance door. His heart sank. An unfamiliar guard was on duty, not the friendly man who had first admitted him. "Not so fast," the guard said, blocking Jomar's approach. "This entrance is restricted to officials and craftsmen. Who are you?" Jomar tried to act calm and trustworthy. "I'm the new apprentice to the goldsmith Sita." The guard's eyes were tight with suspicion. "Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Show me some proof." Jomar could think of nothing clever to say to prove his relationship to Sita. I've forgotten the goldsmith's cylinder seal," he said haltingly. Without a word, the guard grabbed his arm and roughly escorted him out of the building. Jomar considered returning to the workshop to take the seal when Sita wasn't looking, but if Sita found it missing, he would think both he and Zephyr were thieves. Entering the back door of the temple hadn't worked. He tried the front door. Running around the huge building and mounting the stairs two at a time, he entered the temple through the mighty cedar doors. When he saw a guard looking at him, Jomar tried to conceal his labored breathing. He began to walk in an assured manner, as if he had every right to be in the temple. Drawn by the smell of sweet burning incense, Jomar came upon a bearded statue of the moon god Nana, lit by hundreds of flickering candles. In front of the powerful image, a long waist-high table was heaped with offerings of fruit and grain. My family could have lived on this food for a month," Jomar thought bitterly. He shook his head. He must concentrate on the task before him. As Jomar neared the chambers of the high priestess, he was surprised to find no handmaiden at her door. Hearing voices nearby, he looked around a corner and saw the young woman and a guard talking and laughing together. He ducked back. They were distracted by their interest in each other. This was his chance. Jomar raised his hand to knock on Batati's door, then lowered it. He must get inside quietly, or the noise of his knocking might bring both the handmaiden and the guard to the chambers. Although it took more courage than Jomar thought he possessed, he opened the door and slipped into the room. He straightened his shoulders. He must be direct and dignified. The high priestess was seated on her chair as if she hadn't moved from their first meeting. Her elegant golden headdress and earrings gleamed as before. But when she saw Jomar, Batati flinched with alarm and put a hand to her throat. Recognizing Jomar, her hand dropped and her face stiffened. "Ah, it's the goldsmith's new apprentice, who enters my chambers unannounced," she said in a harsh tone. "Is this what Sita would want you to be doing?" "No," Jomar said. "He knows nothing of this." "I've been waiting for my new necklace for a long time," Batati said with narrowed eyes. "Perhaps you're delivering it to me at last." No," Jomar blurted, then tried to collect himself. "Sita wants to present the necklace to you himself." "You've entered my chamber without permission. You don't have my necklace." Batati's voice was as cold as her eyes. "Why are you here?" Jomar's attempt to remain dignified failed. He sank to the floor and held up his open hands to her. "I come to beg for your help. Both Sita and my young sister are in danger. May I have your permission to tell you what's happened to them?" The high priestess looked down on Jomar as she spoke. "Nothing must interfere with the goldsmith's work. It was I who told the music director he must insist that Sita embellish the great lyre in time for the New Year's celebration. I want all who come here for the ceremonies to behold how mighty the moon god's temple is, to have a craftsman able to create such a lyre. Sita must be protected, so I will listen to your story." She motioned Jomar to stand with a flick of her finger. "Be brief."